Well, once again, everybody, it is Sunday, January 8th. This is your daily sports betting brand of record. We call it the Early Edge, and we are powered by the almighty SportsLine, the best value in all sports betting, and it is not close. This is one of the biggest, hardest, I can't believe we got hereist weeks of the entire NFL season. It is week 18 at the end of today. We will know the 14 teams that will be in the postseason heading into the playoffs and the chase for the Super Bowl. Now, it all got started yesterday, 2 NFL games. Kind of a ho-hum day for us. We hit some, we missed some, but it was a whole hell of a lot of fun in the process. If you follow C and the Jod, how about a great live betting opportunity? I personally won 3 bets on the Jags game because I bet it live when they were down 10-0. They come back to win by 4. That's what we're talking about when we say live betting opportunities are there if you know what you're doing. All right, now, on a day this big, you know I'm bringing out 3 of my absolute OGs, bringing the stars of the show. Let's go. Now, first and foremost, live from Nashville, Tennessee, the penthouse level. M Squared, welcome to Week 18.
Good morning, Coach Larry, RJ. Happy Sunday brunch for the final time of the regular season. You know, beautiful day out there. We've still got some awesome golf, too. I know we're going to talk a lot about the NFL, but still a lot of opportunities to bet in sports today. It's a beautiful day.
Colin Morikawa showing people what he did in the offseason, 24 under, leading the Century Tournament of Champions. Now, next, he has been here since day freaking 1. He is the maestro, Larry Hartstein. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys. To be honest, I'm a little down. The Raiders eliminated me from my chance to cash in the Westgate Super Contest. So trying to pick myself up, but then I see all these faces here, and you know what? Let's go. Come on.
Let's go. Now, finally, he is the stoic one. And somewhere late last night when the Jags were picking up a fumble that was questionable, I heard somebody screaming, RJ, was that you?
It was me. I was like, please, God, no penalty. Please, God, his arm was moving forward. My biggest futures bet of the preseason was Titans to miss the playoffs. And the reason was really math-based. They were 8.5 win total with minus 150 to the under. And the miss the playoffs bet was plus 100, even odds. So I'm like, well, there's not that big of a gap between them. You know, the weird situation where they could win less than 9 games and make the playoffs. Then you fast forward to last night and they were about to win less than 9 games and make the playoffs up until that fumble. So very happy that came in. And I think my futures plays, there's one big one still hanging out there, Christian McCaffrey to win comeback player of the year. So let's all cross our fingers and hope he gets there.
I think he certainly does have that. By the way, real quick, Hilton Tops says, Coach, your makeup artist did a bad job on your lip. No, I cut it this morning, and damn it, it hurts, and it's bleeding like a son of a gun. So, makeup artist, you think makeup artist? Mikey, what time does your makeup artist show up in the morning?
Yeah, that does not happen here. I wouldn't be awake before in time for all that.
Me either, but damn it, it hurts. But you know what's going to make it a little bit better? And for some players today, Mikey, going to make it a little bit better. Before we get to storylines, we got to tell you what our entire schedule looks like today. In addition to this particular show, we have our noon show. We'll break down all the games, tell you which games matter, which games don't. Then, of course, tonight, Early Edge Live before the Lions and the Packers. That game, absolutely, we know without a shadow of a doubt, does matter tonight. And we'll break it all down at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Now, Mikey, as I was starting to say, there are some players today that even if their games don't matter, it sure matters to them. Storylines that could affect the betting lines. Let's start right there.
Yeah, we got several players with incentives. I'm going to give you ones that I think are incredibly realistic to hit today. We're going to start with the Cincinnati Bengals. Hayden Hurst needs 2 catches for $125,000. Definitely think he's able to lock that one up. The most interesting, perhaps, is Khalif Raymond of the Detroit Lions. The Lions may or may not be playing for anything tonight. He needs 7 catches for $250,000, 50 yards for another $250K, and 36 punt return yards for $150K. Big opportunity for him considering he is also a free agent. He's played a lot of snaps for this team as they've kind of rebuilt themselves. We'll see if they reward him nicely tonight, depending on what matters in that game. Tyler Higbee for the Rams, 13 yards, $500K. Certainly should have the opportunity to get that. Isaiah McKenzie for the Buffalo Bills, 46 yards for $100K. And then probably the biggest one here in terms of finding opportunities at sportsbooks, probably not till the game is live, DeAndre Carter of the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers probably not going to have the desire to win the game. 2 catches, 100K. 55 yards, 100K. 2 touchdowns, 100K. And then his teammate Gerald Everett, 5 receptions would net him 250K. And then last but not least, my favorite one, Geno Smith from the Seattle Seahawks, $2 million to make the playoffs. Talk about betting on yourself. He is a free agent after this. He bet on himself with this contract. The incentive was baked in. $2 million for the Seahawks to make the playoffs. They need a win and a Packers loss.
Wow. I did not know that. $2 million. And the Seahawks play first. And if the Lions win, it'll be interesting to see that motivation. It really, really will. But it's one of those situations where, I'm sorry, Meister, did you have something on that? I saw
somebody else who won $2 million last night was the Circa Survivor entry Browna, who had the Jaguars, and he finished week 18. So he is guaranteed at least $2 million. Now he's sweating out the Colts, and I can't remember the other Survivor team, but I know RJ has it.
Seahawks. Oh, wow. I love the end of the year contests like that. I hate them in October, but damn it, I love them in January to see who is going to be sweating it out today. My goodness. By the way, Josh in the chat said my first live Sunday, and I get the mother. Oh, geez. So much better than listening on the podcast because you get to see that I am swallowing blood the entire show. That's what you get on the live show, Josh. Welcome to the family. Now, RJ, I'm coming to you because I just mentioned today we have what we call conditional betting. And for those people who are new, they may not be privy to this or understand what we're talking about. Educate us.
Yeah, you're looking for correlated parlays, and some books might not let you do them. Some might circle those type of bets where you have a very low limit on them. But if possible, you want to look at these situations where the NFL split up the times that these teams are playing. Typically, they want to have them all at the same time, so they all are competing for the same thing. But they put the Lions-Packers game at night, so the Seattle game, as we were just talking about, hinges on what the motivation factor is for Detroit there. Detroit needs Seattle to lose to remain in the playoff race. But, I mean, it's Dan Campbell. They might give 110% anyway. If you do want to play the motivation angle and you are able to parlay it, you would be looking to parlay the Rams money line with Detroit +5, +4.5, wherever it is the way to correlate there. It probably pays around 5-1 at this point. Then you have the Chargers Denver game. Chargers will likely react to the results of the Baltimore Cincy game and rest starters if Cincy wins. So if you get a Baltimore money line and Chargers money line, you're probably getting a parlay around 10-1. Probably isn't going to hit because we know Baltimore's going to struggle to win that game. The Cincy Denver money line probably pays around -110 if you can find it. So I'm sure the people who are allowed to do these correlated parlays will be looking that way. And then you talk about hedging your bets. I mean, if Geno can get some action now on the Packers and can kind of protect himself on that $2 million, that'd be nice. And if you're in that survivor pool and you have the $2 million guaranteed, how much do you put on the Colts? Thinking, I get an extra $1 million if the Colts lose. So do I risk some of that and back their money line at this point? I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could put any amount of money on the Colts. I'm shocked that a guy in Survivor chose them even against Houston, even knowing Houston needs to lose for the number 1 seed or the number 1 pick. Because we've seen situations where that's happened. They need to lose before a team and then they just win and they don't get the guy that they wanted. So I wouldn't take that for granted. It's just shocking to me that I looked at the availability matrix. He had the Jaguars available. He had the Vikings available to pick. And he had the Falcons available, and he went with the Colts anyway.
Have we all not been watching what the Colts have looked like the last 2 weeks and what the Houston Texans have looked like the last 2 weeks? My goodness. All right. Great information from RJ right there. Now, specifically in Chicago, the Vikings are playing the Bears, and they still have a little bit to play for. What do you got from that game, Maestro, specifically?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of talk from Vikings fans saying they should not play their starters because there's no way the 49ers will lose to the Cardinals later in the day, and don't even bother trying for the number 2 seed. But there's not a single NFL coach that thinks like that. I mean, the Arizona Cardinals were competitive last week, losing by 1 point in Atlanta. David Blau threw for 222 yards and a touchdown with no picks. So the Vikings need to go out there and win the game, and I'm pretty sure that they will with Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. The Bears, all of a sudden, Justin Fields, the hip strain. It's too much. We got to bench him, shut him down. It's the right move. They're playing Nathan Peterman. They have a shot at the number 1 pick. If they lose and the Texans beat those Colts, the Bears will get the number 1 pick. Either way, let's lose if you're the Bears and lock in the number 2 pick.
And a player we most definitely will be talking about at noon Eastern time is Justin Jefferson, as he has a shot at becoming the all-time greatest wide receiver as far as yearly yardage is concerned. We'll talk about that at noon. All right. It is January 8th. If you are not a SportsLine member yet, what are you doing? But today's a great day because I'm going to do you a solid. Anybody new watching right now, use the promo code early. And I'm going to give you 30 days for free. You can get all the NFL playoffs. You can get everything. All my cappers, all 3 that you see right here. Use the promo code early. But I also saw Dr. Pepper in the chat. And he said, man, you haven't done it in a while, but how about today, a special day, week 18? You know what? I will bring it back every now and then. It feels like a good time. But today, Mikey doesn't start the board. So it's a very special. Maestro, you know the drill, son! It doesn't matter if it's the NFL, hockey, college football. The man comes from day freaking 1. And today, he gets to go first and last. So, Maestro, if you don't mind, give it to me.
What an honor. I'm going to take those Vikings in a teaser, bet them down to -1, and pair them with the Cleveland Browns getting 8.5. The Browns defense has been playing very well down the stretch. They're playing a limited Steelers offense that has not cracked 20 points only once in the last 5 games. I just think the Browns are live here. They're definitely going to play hard. Myles Garrett, they want to knock the Steelers out of the playoffs. And we talked about the Vikings. Kirk Cousins against Nathan Peterman. The Vikings still have a shot at the number 2 seed. That's my teaser for today.
Oh, and those Browns, they're playing hard. They know that today is kind of a to catapult them into next year with Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson, he wants to take this seriously. He needs another game under his belt. I love that side of it, and I love the Viking side of it as well. Bears, where are they going to score? Where are they going to score? Now, Mikey, this is also a weekend that's just either about winning, getting the job done, and either getting to the playoffs or getting out healthy, which means that maybe we need to start looking at money lines. What do you got, big boy?
Yeah, I've got a money line parlay here, 3 legs. And first I will say, I love Larry's teaser there, by the way. I almost played that myself before the show. But my 3-leg parlay here is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals, Buffalo Bills, and Seattle Seahawks, all on the money line, plus 116 currently over at FanDuel. Love this number. It's very self-explanatory if you've been following the NFL here at this point. Buffalo needs to win this game. They definitely want to lock in the 2 seed because if they win the game, they're locked into playing at least a neutral site game in the AFC Championship game should they match up with Kansas City. For the Bengals, if they win and the Bills happen to lose, Cincinnati would move to the number 2 seed. If they both win, the Bengals are locked into the 3 seed, but they really want to win this game ahead of a potential rematch against this Ravens team in the wild card round. So I love those 2 teams. And then Seattle, it's a true playoff game. What we witnessed last night with Tennessee and Jacksonville, same thing for the Seattle side of this game. It is a must-win game, and they need some help afterwards. All the contract incentives for Geno Smith, who bet on himself. I think it's a great spot for the Seahawks to pick one off at home, wrap these 3 teams together in a money line parlay.
And the nice thing, Mikey, for Seattle is that they're playing by themselves. The team that they're worried about plays later, so they got to play 60 minutes. They have to play 60 minutes. And by the way, the Bengals, if they lose today to the Ravens, there will be a coin flip if they match up next week to decide where that game would be played, which is why the Bengals very much want to win today to back up everything Mikey just said. Mikey, thank you very much. Now, RJ, I'm looking at your picks right now, and I got to tell you, the top one, the first one, surprises me just a little bit, and I would love your explanation. Let's start with Tampa.
I like the Buccaneers +4. The expectation with this line is that the Tampa Bay starters won't play the full game. Otherwise, and I think maybe it's playing a half. You can get plus half a point on the halftime, the first half line there. But Brady doesn't typically come out of games in these situations. Maybe in this case, he might be more worried with this offensive line than in his New England years, and maybe he does sit. But typically, it's not a thing that he does. Then you look at the team that they're playing. Atlanta's won just 1 game by more than 4 all year. And a lot of their opponents have been the type of things that are like the Bucks backups. They're playing teams like the Panthers and Saints, and they're in a bad division. They only beat the banged up Arizona offense by 1 last week with David Blau at quarterback. So I'm not sure if they get a quarter of Brady, a half of Brady, that they'll be able to win this game by a big margin. Then you look at the situation. The reason this line, they are favored, is because of the fact that Tampa Bay will rest players. But teams with losing records favored against playoff teams in the 16th game or later of the season, which is typically the last game of the season. That's why you get with playoff teams resting players. That record is 8-16 against the spread all time. So you get the situation where the line flips too far the other way, and then the quality of the coaching staff, the depth on the roster, the fact that you can't bench all your starters because you only have 45 guys active on game day, that comes into play. And then these guys are covering. So I think Tampa Bay gets up in the first half, and then maybe Atlanta wins by 3. So that's why I like Buccaneers +4 here. I got the Ravens team total going under 14.5 points. Signs point to the Ravens starting Anthony Brown, who took all the first team reps at quarterback all week with Tyler Huntley banged up. Baltimore's pass game isn't dangerous anyway with their lack of playmakers. And since these defense is 9th in yards per rush, so Baltimore leaning on the run game isn't probably not going to work here. J.K. Dobbins might miss this game as well. I think that's trending toward him being out. Since he feels slighted by the NFL's playoff plan with that coin flip you're talking about, they're going to come into this game pissed off. And despite the NFL's plan, I'm not sure Baltimore's super motivated to compete here. Yes, they could get in a situation where they get a coin flip to host the playoff game. Yes, they could get the number 5 seed and avoid that altogether, get to play the Jaguars. Both those situations mean going all out and beating Cincinnati today, or they could just take this week off and try to win all out at Cincinnati next week, or maybe Buffalo if Buffalo loses, but we don't think that's happening. So in either situation, you get to rest up here. You get to bench guys like Dobbins and let them rest, and you don't have to go all out. I don't think their offense is scoring very many points here. I like them to go under 14.5 points. You talk about contract incentives. You talk about setting NFL records. You also trying to set personal bests. Amari Cooper needs 81 yards to set a new career high. And offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt has said that's important to him. Getting guys like him and David Njoku to career highs in certain categories is important. I think that's something they will try to target doing in this game where nothing else really matters for them because they're not going anywhere. Pittsburgh defense, 27th in pass yards per play, 4th in rush yards per play. They want to attack through the air anyway. Cooper's yardage has went up with each successive Watson start, has 177 yards in his last 2 weeks combined when Watson barely had 300 pass yards in those 2 games. So I like Amari Cooper to go over 66.5 receiving yards, -137. I think he's going to get to that 81 number, and there's going to be a real push from the offensive coordinator to get him there. Final one, Mikey touched on this a little bit earlier. Isaiah McKenzie with that $100,000 contract incentive for 46 yards. His over-under set at 30.5. I like him to go over that. Patriots dealing with cornerback issues again this week. Jalen Mills is out. They gave up 265 pass yards to Miami's backup quarterbacks last week. I think that Buffalo should have a good day here. They should be looking to attack this cornerback depth, get McKenzie involved, get him over his total. So I like him to go over 30.5 receiving yards.
Can you imagine, RJ, what it's going to be like for the Patriots, what it's going to feel like to be in that stadium against all of the Bills Mafia, all of that? And then can you imagine if they show the face from the FaceTime call with that big old smile to the what will that be like today there? What do you think?
They're going to be going nuts anyway. A, they could, all that, everything that happened last week. B, they could eliminate the Patriots from the playoffs, which would be huge for them considering how much of a punching bag they were in that division for 20 years. And yeah, to see him would give everybody a lift, I'm sure. But the fact that we've got positive news from him all throughout the week, they're going to be crazy anyway. They're going to be just all out, very happy for this team, and everybody's going to be moving in a positive direction there.
No doubt about it. It's going to be a really, really emotional day in Buffalo. No doubt about it from all the angles that we just talked about. All right. Be very, very careful today because you just never know who needs more. We just had 2 prop bets, and Maestro, I'm coming right back to you because leave it to you to find all the different random names that need to come together to do this. They cash it when they do this on the field. What do you like today, big boy?
All right, well, a big name that I'm going to fade is Joe Burrow, under 271.5 passing yards. RJ talked about the Ravens offense not being much of a threat with probably Anthony Brown as the quarterback, and that means that Burrow is not going to have to throw all game. This could be something like 20-10, 24-10, something like that. So I think it's going to be more of a conservative game plan. I'm going to go under Joe Burrow because I don't think the Ravens will threaten them offensively. And then out west in that Rams-Seahawks games, the Seahawks are the very worst team against tight ends. They give up over 70 yards receiving, 2 tight ends. I'm going to Tyler Higbee over 32.5 receiving yards. He had 8 targets in the first meeting, got to 45 yards on 4 catches. So I love this play against the Seahawks, and Baker Mayfield likes to target his tight ends and the short passes. And then 2 plays in the Commanders-Cowboys. I am big on Sam Howell and Jahan Dotson. I know it sounds crazy, but the Cowboys, since they lost Anthony Brown, their starting corner, in early December, they've not been the same in terms of the pass defense. We saw Josh Dobbs look competent against them last week, and he had just signed with the Titans. Sam Howell likes to attack deep. 188.5 passing yards seems pretty low, and they could be playing from behind. They're also missing their top 2 running backs for this game, and Dotson is the deep threat. He has been peppered with targets over the last 4 weeks. I believe 31 targets. He's the first-round pick. This is the guy they want to build around for the future. I love him over 38.5. He could get this in one bomb from Sam Howell.
Just like Derrick Henry did last night for us. 1 catch, cash that ticket. Caddy Daddy says, I love that Higbee play, Maestro. Javon says, ooh, Higbee will get his money today. Let's go. I like it. I like the positive energy. Now, grab your paper, grab your pencil. Here is the recap. Remember, 2 more big shows today. I encourage you to watch them live. There is so much information you need to know. M Squared, a 3-way money line parlay, and all of these 3 teams, they make sense. Bengals, Bills, Seahawks, only to win, plus 116. Then the stoic one, Bucks plus 4 against Atlanta. Ravens team total under 14.5. You saw Mikey in the chat say it best. They're going to address this game like the Titans did last week. They're already in. They don't care where they play next week. They want healthy players. It's already at 10. It might climb higher than that. Then Amari Cooper over 66.5 receiving yards, and Isaiah McKenzie over 30.5 receiving yards for the Bills. And the Maestro, a teaser and 4 props. Browns 8.5, Vikings -1, and then the props, Dotson over 38.5 receiving yards, Burrow under 271.5 passing yards, Tyler Higbee over 32.5 receiving yards, and Sam Howell over 188.5 passing yards. Now, on this show every week, we do what we call the look ahead. Well, it's very difficult to do that when it's the playoffs that we're looking ahead to. But, RJ, I do have a look ahead question for you. If the Seahawks win today and the Lions are already eliminated by the time they play, the line right now is at 5. What do you think will happen to that line for Sunday Night Football?
I think it probably goes up a little bit. I think that motivation factor is already baked in a lot of the way. I don't think that line should be very high. If we didn't have any kind of worry about motivation, I'd be all over Detroit right there. I kind of like them at 4.5 and made it a play anyway. So if you want to play them, I'm fine with that. It's going to go up though, so I think you should wait, maybe to 6, maybe to 6.5. I don't think it gets all the way to 7, but I would be looking to play Detroit because Dan Campbell is going to block that out and say we're playing for our lives anyway. And look, we want to eliminate this Green Bay team anyway. How great would it be? I believe they were the number 1 seed last year, back-to-back MVPs with Aaron Rodgers. Let's knock them out of the playoffs and send them home with us.
Wouldn't they love to do that? I could just see his pregame too. It doesn't matter. Oh, man. Oh, run through a wall for Dan Campbell, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be here 7:30 p.m. Eastern tonight to break it all down, and we will know by then exactly what lays out in front of the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. But with all that being said, what a great way to start your morning. And thank you for doing that with us. And there's only one thing left to do. And I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these tickets straight to the pay window. For my entire crew, damn it, do I love them all. The stoic one, RJ White, M Squared, the Maestro, the snake, always behind the scenes on the 1s and the 2s. I am the coach. Turn on your notifications. Every single time we start a show, I want you here. We want you here. We like to call it the early edge. Good luck.